Okay, so we're finishing James today, James chapter 5, and James continues to punch right to the end of his letter. It seems particularly that the churches that he's writing to are affected by the disparity of wealth. It's not always clear whether that wealth issue is within the church, rich and poor, or whether it's that the church is poor and the world outside is wealthy. But the principles, whichever way it falls, are helpful for us to reflect on. Now listen, you rich people, weep and wail because of the misery that is coming on you. Your wealth is rotted, and moths have eaten your clothes. Your gold and silver are corroded. Their corrosion will testify against you and eat your flesh like fire. You have hoarded wealth in the last days. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvester have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened yourselves in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and murdered the innocent one who was not opposing you. So here's the word to the wealthy. You're fools, basically, if you're storing up wealth in these last days and living at cost of others for your own self-indulgence. It's all going to go. You're not going to keep all of it. And actually you're working up judgment for yourself because of the way that you have lived. This is a stark warning for so many of us in the West, isn't it? In some ways the oppression of others is a bit more distanced. It's not that we are not paying the workers in our fields anymore, but often the way we do business and the way things are structured means that people in other places get paid poorly, and there's this great disparity. And we have to be careful. My tendency always is to go for the life of ease, and yet my ease is often at the expense of someone else's work. And James is here saying, if you live like this in the last days, you're storing up trouble for yourself. Be patient then, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. Don't grumble against one another, brothers and sisters, or you will be judged. The judge is standing at the door. Brothers and sisters, as an example of patience in the face of suffering, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. As you know, we count as blessed those who have persevered. You have heard of Job's perseverance and have seen what the Lord finally brought about. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy. And so here's the remedy to the self-indulgence. Be patient. We are sowing for eternity, and we need to wait for the Lord's coming for our true wealth to be revealed. And so we need to be patient. We mustn't be fighting amongst ourselves. We need to recognise that the Lord is near, but also that he's full of compassion and mercy. And we're to look to the Old Testament characters, the Jobs and the Isaiahs and Jeremiahs, who worked through great pain and suffering, and yet, particularly for Job, in the end, all was brought to a good end. We don't see that so much for Isaiah and Jeremiah because they're caught up in our redemption story, where they persevered, and in a sense they're still waiting for the glory to come, like us. But the Lord is full of compassion and mercy. That's what keeps us going. That's what helps us to be patient through these times. Above all, my brothers and sisters, do not swear, not by heaven or by earth or by anything else. All you need to say is a simple yes or no, otherwise you will be condemned. Let's be people of our word. Let's not be looking to other things to authenticate our word. Let's just get on and do what we say we'll do. Is there anyone among you in trouble? Let them pray. Is anyone happy? Let them sing songs of praise. If anyone among you ill, let them call the elders of the church to pray over them and anoint them with oil in the name of the Lord. The reality is, in a church family, we are going to be in various situations, trouble, joy, sickness, and here are remedies for all of those that we need to be applying. And it's going on all the time in the life of the church. The prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well. The Lord will raise them up. If they have sinned, they will be forgiven. Therefore confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. Elijah was a human being even as we are. He prayed earnestly that it would not rain, and it did not rain on the land for 3.5 years. Again he prayed, and the heavens gave rain, and the earth produced its crops. My brothers and sisters, if one of you should wander from the truth and someone should bring that person back, remember this: whoever turns a sinner from the error of their way will save them from death and cover over a multitude of sins. James seems to finish then with this big focus on living godly lives and the connection actually between illness and sin. We must be very clear, as Jesus does in the Gospel, that not all illness is connected to sin, but much of our selfishness and our greed and our sin does lead us into certainly spiritual sickness, if not at times physical judgment as well. And so we need to be constantly striving. We're to be helping each other, pulling each other back from sins, restoring each other, praying for each other, talking to each other about the struggles that we're facing and asking for help, and certainly putting right the relationships that have gone pear-shaped where we have been at fault. So things to work out in our daily practice today. Let's watch out for the wealth that we are living for. Let's be patiently sowing for eternity. Let's watch our relationships together and seek to live godly lives today. Where can we be making progress as we set